Hey guys, welcome back to another Chaos Battle League video. OP here, and today I've got a comparison video. We know that the draft tournament is just under 2 hours away from opening up, and in this draft tournament we have the chance of getting two legendaries. These are not the official names, but for the sake of this video I will be calling them the Kraken and the Sphinx. The Kraken is a 5 energy costing giant squid looking legendary, and then the 7 costing legendary looks like a Sphinx. If you look closely, it kind of does look like it has wings, so it should be a flying troop, but it is a Sphinx, so physics might note that it could be either ground or flying. We don't know what it does yet. It does cost 7 energy, and so it could be in this tournament as one of the options to choose from, as with the Kraken, but I'm not sure. I can never be completely sure until the tournament starts. So I'm going to go over 3 things in this video. I'm going to be going over cannons, the different cannon placements, specials, the special placements, in my own kind of grading system that I've kind of made. Now, I don't have an actual visual representation, so if you want to get like a pen and paper and write this down or something, or yeah, I need to find a better way of organizing this information visually for you guys. But so let's get started. We'll start because the draft tournament, if you don't know, so the order of the draft tournament is you use your ticket, and then 2 cannons, 2 turrets, 2 of these kind of turrets show up, 2 of them, and you have to choose between 2 of them. Once you select one, the specials will come up, 2 of them. You have 2 to choose from, and these are at random, so you're not sure, oh, which one do I want to use, which one do I want to use? Well, you don't get to see your deck first, so you have to build a deck around the special and the turret that you chose. And then after that, the card slot 1 will give you 3 options to choose from. You'll choose one of the 3 options, and then card slot 2 will ask you to choose one of 3 options, and so on and so forth. 3 will ask you to choose from 3, 4 will choose from 3, 5, 6, 7, until your last card. You will pick from 3 cards chosen at random, or if the game has some kind of algorithm to aid in, making it difficult for players to have, a completely overpowered deck, or so on and so forth. So let's start with turrets. If I look here, standard turret is the initial turret. Cannon turret is then the next turret after that. Beam turret, Tesla turret, explosive turret, Gatling turret, shield turret, and freeze ray turret. In my personal opinion, and actually I would like to also note that anything in this video is my personal opinion. There's nothing that states that I am 100% correct. There's nothing that says that if you pick these cards you are guaranteed to win, because you still have to play them, you still have to use the strategy, you still have to be the one to try to counter the opponent's strategy. So with that being said, this is my opinion. So in order of best to worst, the number 1 turret that I would say is the freeze ray turret. Now, it just recently got buffed. They increased the radius of the actual splash attack, so it hits a larger radius, which is nice, and it slows, which is the same slow as the crowd bot. And then if the enemy is not completely, but if they're slowed by a lot, it's going to lower their DPS. So freeze ray is really strong. Freeze ray is really good. So that's my number 1 pick, is freeze ray turret. If I see freeze ray turret, I'm going to be picking it. After that, I choose cannon turret because it has a longer range. The attack range is 9. The rest have an attack range of 6, except for the Gatling gun. The Gatling turret has a range of 5, so you need to be aware of that. Okay, so the freeze ray turret is my number 1. Cannon turret is then my number 2. And then after that, I think that explosive and standard are right about the same. So if you have both, I would probably go with explosive. But then I put standard on the same level, and that's because standard has a DPS of 130 and the attack speed is 0.8, but it can only attack one single target, right? But that's less than a second per each attack. The explosive turret attacks once every 1.5 time or 1.5 seconds. But the thing is that it's splash. So if someone builds let's say they pick up Mummy Horde, Bat Colony, Gargoyle Pack, and any kind of like spawners. Well, this turret is going to do extremely well against that because it's going to hit everything for 56 every single time, or for 84. I'm sorry. So it's going to hit everything for 84 in a large area. So explosive turret's really good. But if you don't have explosive turret, or if you don't have freeze ray turret, cannon turret, or explosive, I'd go with standard. After that, I would choose Tesla because Tesla, the radius was buffed as well. The reason why Tesla and freeze ray are not on the same playing ground is that the damage on this one's 104, but it attacks once every 2 seconds. And the Tesla turret has a damage of 145, but it attacks once every 2.5 seconds. So the DPS on this is 58, and the DPS on this is 52. This is a little bit more, and it stuns, but it only stuns for half a second. And it's a slower attack speed. So overall, I think freeze ray is a little bit better. Again, personal opinion. So freeze ray, cannon, explosive, standard, Tesla, and then after the Tesla, I choose Gatling gun, or the Gatling turret. Now it does have the lowest range of them all by 5, but the DPS is so high, 180 DPS. So in 1 second, it's going to be doing 180 damage. So it's super high, but there are a lot of troops that outrange it. That's the only thing. So shield turret would be better, but right now its attack speed is 2 seconds, and so it takes forever. It just feels super slow and clunky. Also, it does have less health than the rest. If you look, the health is 2792. Oh wow, they buffed that. It used to have less health. So I'm not sure. So I apologize for that. But I still place shield turret near the bottom. And then beam turret is the absolute worst one. It single targets one enemy, and then the damage starts at 19 and grows exponentially. But the thing is, if they have a swarm or horde kind of deck, you're going to have a tough time. If they have a lot of tanks, sure, then this beam turret's going to do work on all their tanks. But they still have to get their tanks there and everything else. So that's why I'm placing beam turret as the absolute worst turret of all of them. So that's my take on the turrets. Freeze, cannon, explosive, standard are the top half. Hopefully you get those. If not, then Tesla, Gatling, shield. Actually, knowing that shield has a little bit more health, Gatling still has more DPS. So I'm going to stick with that. Freeze, cannon, explosive, standard, Tesla, Gatling, beam, shield, and then beam. Alright, moving on. So now we're on to specials. Now the specials here are, starting at League 1 is Tidal Wave, League 2 is Curse of Frogs, 3 is Tesla Explosion, 4 is Swift Justice, 5 is Bullet Time, 6 is Bronze Armor, and 7 is Black Hole. Now the way that I have ordered them is number 1 is Tesla Explosion and Bronze Armor. I've seen in the latter Tesla Explosion be used a lot. It is one of the only ones that still cost 2 energy to use a special. So Tesla Explosion, it stuns them for what, 3 seconds or 4 seconds? 4 seconds of them doing nothing. That should be nerfed down to 3 seconds, to be honest, because Bronze Armor to spend 3 is immune for 4 seconds. Now the thing that they don't tell you is that Bronze Armor is not a cleanse. Making you're going to be immune to death, stun, any movement effects, right? Making them immune. But if they use Tesla Explosion and then you use Bronze Armor, your troops will still be stunned. Or like if they are slowed and then you use Bronze Armor, the slow needs to dissipate before the Bronze Armor takes effect. It's not a cleanse. In the alternate side of the coin, bronze armor, if you use bronze armor and then they use Tesla explosion, their Tesla explosion will do nothing because your bronze armor makes you immune to stun and therefore making Tesla explosion. So I put these two on the top two, bronze armor and Tesla explosion. So those for the 2 and 3 energies, I put those in the same level. If I had to choose, my playstyle works better with bronze armor, but it is super reactive. You need to be very good at watching what's happening on the screen and react accordingly. So if you see someone throwing a polymorph, you can hit that bronze armor, and when your troop gets polymorphed, they will turn back into their troop before the bronze armor wears off, which is super strong. It's nice because it counters their strategy to stop your push, and it saves your troops. So moving forward, so that's number 1 and number 2. Third, I have Swift Justice down. So I think that with the rage buff of 6 seconds for 3 is pretty good because they do a lot of work when they are increased by 30%. That's what I have for third. Fourth, I have Black Hole to be able to remove all the troops on the field. Yeah, it sucks that it will kill your own units, but the way to counter that is like watch them build a push and then kind of play something smaller and then let them play something else and then use Black Hole. It will kill all the troops and then your only 1 or 2 of your troops. So I think that Black Hole can change a game. Not really change a game, but stop one whole push. Yeah, so next I have Curse of Frogs and Tidal Wave kind of at the same level, being near the bottom. Lastly, I have Bullet Time. So Curse of Frogs, it turns them into frogs only for 3 seconds. So you have 3 seconds to kill all their enemies within that time window. And if it doesn't, then you wasted Curse of Frogs. It's really risky. And then Tidal Wave used to only cost 1 energy. And so people would be dropping troops at the bridge on either side and then use Tidal Wave, throwing troops on, immediately to the tower. But now they've kind of alleviated that to where you can only do 1 push and then push it to the tower. But if you think about what they're dropping, if they have troops that they're dropping at the bridge, you can almost be sure that they're going to use a Tidal Wave to try to get it to your tower. So watch for them dropping troops at the bridge, and then listen for the sound of the Tidal Wave. It starts music before the animation starts playing, and then you can drop troops in front of your tower, and then their troops will attack your troops, or whatever you choose to do. So in this order, I would choose Tesla Explosion and Bronze Armor as the number 1, Swift Justice as number 2, Black Hole is number 3, Curse of Frogs and Tidal Wave is number 4, and then Bullet Time is number 5th. Bullet Time slows them down for 8 seconds, but they're still moving, they can still react, and you can still place new troops on top while your old troops are slowed. You can still, react to it. It doesn't seem like that good of a special. So, alright, so that's done with the specials. Moving on. Now the way that I've organized the cards, I have my system of a 1, 2, 3, and 4 system, and the 1s are the most important cards, the cards that I would probably pick under any circumstance. They work well with every deck. The 2s would be like, I think that these are really strong cards right now, but it depends on what I've picked before, and if nothing else was picked before, then I'd probably pick them. 3 is pretty much every other card in the game, and then 4 is cards that I probably would not choose under any circumstance. Except for maybe 1 or 2 extremely rare given scenarios. But, okay, so let's start with my number 1s. My number 1s, the cards that I really think are actually really strong and the cards that should be kept, are Cannonball. If you see Cannonball, grab it. It has they nerfed the splash radius, but the damage wasn't nerfed, so it hits the tower for 175. Cannonball, and I think Moby Dick is somewhere right there too. I put Moby Dick down as 2, but I think Cannonball or Moby Dick can both be 1, depending. So my next number 1 is Pistoliers. These are high DPS. It's 100 DPS for 3 energy, and there's 2 troops, so they can each attack. You know, it's not bad. Pistoliers are really good. They're a very versatile card. They'll help in any deck. There's no way you can go wrong with a Pistolier. Next card that I have as a number 1 is a Pelican. Now, Pelican is really tanky for 1250 health. It hits a tower for 400 damage. Actually, this is level 1. It's going to hit for a lot more than that at level 4. And then when it dies, it's like the balloon, where when it hits the tower, hits the tower. When it dies, it drops a bomb, and the bomb hits the tower as well. And the bomb hits for a large amount. So Pelican's really strong. I would always pick Pelican if I had the choice. Moving on, the next number 1 that I picked is Obelisk. Obelisk right now, it only costs 4. It targets troops because it's a building. It has a medium amount of health, and then it can actually take out pretty much any tank just for what it does. So Obelisk is really strong. The next card that I have as a level 1 is a Bolt. Bolt is very versatile. You can use it on defense. You can use it on offense. It is a cycle card. It does stun for 1.5 seconds. Super powerful right now. That's definitely number 1. Oh, excuse me. And my last number 1 that I actually have is the Dojo. They've been nerfing spell cards to do damage. And this just spawns a lot of, I guess it spawns 4 waves. Spawns 4 waves of ninjas, and if I were to spawn 1 set of 4 ninjas, it would cost me 4, and then so a second pack of 4 ninjas only costs 2, so that's value. And then ninjas aren't bad at all. Like right now, that you can attack the ground, you can attack air with ninjas. So Dojo's a really strong card. I'd probably keep that. Moving on, I have in between level 1 and level 2, or like number 1 and number 2, I have a 1.5 category, and that's because I think that they are very good cards, but they just need work, I guess. Or, I don't know. It just depends on playstyle. I know that they're very good, but you just need like a good strategy. 1.5, I picked Gargoyle Pack. These guys, 6 of them doing 50 DPS. That's 300 DPS. Insanely strong. And they're flying, and they have medium amount of health, so that's really good. My other 1.5 is Vultures. It's like Goblin Barrel, but then when they land, it's flying. It's not ground troops. You do need to work around it really well. They do have a very low health, 129 at level 1. So you need to work with that. Okay, so those are my number 1s and number 1.5s. Next, I have my number 2s, these are good in any situation. You could probably pick them and still be very safe with anything that you do around them. So here's my 2s are Captain, Van Helsing, because it has a range of 6. Pharaoh, it is a ground troop that spawns troops and it attacks air, splash air. Treasure Chest is a 2. It's 3. It's a building. It distracts them. They can group up. You can kill a big horde with it. I think that it's really strong. That counters Gargoyle Pack. It counters a lot of swarm stuff. Next is Moby Dick as a 2. I think Moby Dick should actually be like a 1.5 because they nerf the damage. But a 2.5 sun is actually really good. I changed that to a 1.5. Moby Dick's going to be a 1.5. Moving on, after Moby Dick, we have Bobbies. Bobbies are like barbarians from from a different game. So yeah, Bobbies are good. They have a medium amount of health. I don't know if that was nerfed, but I think they have a lot more health than that, and their damage is a little bit higher. So Bobbies are my number 2. Next after that are ninjas. Remember we were talking about the dojo. Ninjas are good. They're very versatile. They can attack ground and air troops. All their health together, and then their DPS is very nice. So ninjas are a 2. Bohea has a range of 8. It has the farthest range in the game, minus the Gatling gun. And it attacks air, and it has a splash. So I think that Bohea is a number 2. Like, it's a strong card. It works well with a lot of decks. Shogun is a 7 right now. It has a lot of health, has a lot of damage, 500 every swing. You can take a tower out with, I think, 4 swings, I think. At least, 4. 4 swings and their tower's dead. So, Shogun's really strong. I think that can work really well. I personally still like the Trapper. Trapper has a dynamic unlike any other card, and it's the fact that it can place these traps on the ground. So when it places a trap, it actually stops the troop for 1 whole second. So you can have the slow or the slow from the freeze ray turret, and you can place the trapper, and then if their troops go into your traps, then they'll be stunned and slowed, and it's a mediumly tanky. He's mediumly tanky, and he attacks, once every second, so his DPS is 90. Really good card. Really good card. In my opinion. In my personal opinion, you guys. After Trapper, I have Gatling Gun as a number 2. They did nerf the health, so that hurts it a little bit, and you have to play very reactively with Gatling Gun. It still has a lot of DPS, 120. You can still attack their towers from your side safely, but you need to build kind of a deck around it, or place it at the right time. Otherwise, you're just going to be wasting 6 every time. All right, moving right on. My number 2, I still think Polymorph is really good. It got a nerf. It used to cost 4. Now it costs 5. But the idea that they can send anything they want to, and you can turn it into a sheep, is just hilarious. 1, 2, what is a sheep going to do? Nothing. So make sure to take the sheep out, of course. I think Polymorph is really strong. Alright, so every other card is a level 3 or number 3. I could name them all, but I don't really want to do that. So we're going to skip that, and we're going to go to my 4s. Now, my 4s are these cards are not good under any circumstance. I don't think that you should be picking them. There's no real reason to pick them other than maybe a strategy that you're building towards. Okay, so the first 4 is Buccaneers. What the hell do these guys do? They run at the tower. They're really squishy. They can't attack air. They're susceptible to splash. They have to get all the way up there. Buccaneers, not good. The only thing Buccaneers are good for are cycle. So if you're really hot, your elixir cost is really high, and you have the choices between something high like a 6, another 6, or the Buccaneer, I would not increase your average cost. I would try to decrease it, so I would probably play Buccaneers depending on the situation. But even then, it's no, I probably won't pick them. The next one is Tavern. All right, so you're paying 4 for 6 waves of 2 Buccaneers. And Buccaneers are so invaluable, that's saying that is 12 Buccaneers for 4. You can do 3 Buccaneers for 2, which would be 6 of them for 4. Or you can have 12 Buccaneers for 4. They're still bad, regardless of having 12 Buccaneers for 4 energy. They're still easily counterable. The only reason why I would have Tavern is because I have a lot of other spawners, and I just want to overwhelm them. I don't know. Still wouldn't go with that strategy. Not a very viable strategy. So Tavern's not good either. The next number 4 that I have is Pyramid. The mummies in this game are not strong at all. They don't really help that much. And the Pyramid has almost no health. So let's say they use a Cyclops. Let's say they use a Pelican. Let's say they use a Werewolf. Let's say they use a Trapper. All right, so their troops are going to get to your side. You're gonna put the pyramid down to distract them, pull them to the center. They're gonna kill that pyramid in 1 or 2 shots, generally, maybe 3. So in that time, you spent 3 energy just to bring them to the center, and then when you spawn the mummies, they don't survive anything. So mummies are not a good card. Pyramid's not a good card. That's another number 4 that I have. Don't pick that one. Right now, the genie needs to cost 5. It's a weird mechanic. You got to put a lamp down, and then it's a building, so they get pulled. And then whenever they attack the building, he spawns out and starts punching them. Yeah, he's a tank. He has 1700 health at level 1. He has a lot more than that. And then he does a lot of damage when he starts coming in. But for 6, I don't think he's not worth it for 6. So that's definitely, if you're missing any kind of tank and you don't have a tank in your deck, yeah, probably pick a genie up. But I still wouldn't. I don't know. I wouldn't. Okay, moving on. The next number 4 that I have is Bat Pack. These guys should actually cost 1. Yes, they're flying and there are 4 bats, but one splash of almost any unit, 1 attack of any unit is going to kill these bats. So I don't think that they're good. I don't think they're good right now. Again, they're a cycle card, so you can get it if you need cycle and or if you're missing air troops. I don't know. Probably don't pick Bat Pack. Lastly, the energy generator. This costs 6, and if you spend 6, it gives you 9 energy. So it actually gives you a +3 energy. So you're having a building on your side of the map to give you an extra 3 energy. Like, +3 energy. You can make a +3 energy trade with 1 push. So if you play smart, using the other cards that are like the Cannonball, Pistoliers, Pelican, Obelisk, Dojo, Bolt, Gargoyle Pack, Vultures, Captain Van Helsing, Pharaoh, Treasure Chest, Moby Dick, Bobby's Ninjas, Bohea, Shogun, Trapper, Gatling Gun, Polymorph. If you make any kind of a trade that is +1 or 2 or 3, that's much better than doing an energy generator. Energy generator doesn't attack. It doesn't, it only gives you 3 energy. If it survives that whole thing. Not worth it. Plus, if you play energy generator in the beginning, they'll have 10 energy and you'll have 4 to defend. They can throw a 10 energy push in and you'll have only 4 to defend with, and then you need to spend 4 for bobbies or anything to really defend properly. So energy generator is a number 4 for me. Alright guys, that does it for this video. I do apologize that I don't have like a visual cue for you guys to go off of. I'll just go back and read like the top cards. So for the turrets, it's Freeze Ray, Cannon, Explosive, and Standard. For the specials, it is Tesla Explosion, Bronze Armor, Swift Justice, and Black Hole. For the actual cards themselves, it would be Cannonball, Pistoliers, Pelican, Obelisk, Bolt, Dojo. Let's put these in a deck. Cannonball, Bolt, Obelisk, Pistoliers are already there, Dojo, Pelican, just gonna set this, whoops, here, and then I'm gonna put Pistoliers up top, and then my 1.5s are Gargoyle Pack and Vultures. Alright, so these are the top cards that I would suggest. This is not really an ideal deck, but you could make this work. This seems like an okay deck, actually. Might try that in ladder. That's fun. Let's see, 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12. There's actually 12 cards here that are in my level 2 grouping. So I can't fit them all into one deck. 2, 4, 6. I can fit 6. That's 18. No, that doesn't work. But yeah, so the cards not to pick are Buccaneers, Tavern, Pyramid, Genie, Bat Pack, and Energy Generator. Of those, Bat Pack is probably the best card, but it's still on the bottom tiers. So the number 2s again, lastly, will be Captain. I'll do this slowly so that you guys can kind of get a visual here. So, Captain, Van Helsing, Pharaoh, Treasure Chest, Moby Dick. I think Moby Dick's a 1.5. I moved it up. Bobby's, good defense. Next is Ninjas, Bohea, Shogun, Trapper, Gatling Gun, Polymorph. Alright, every other card is completely situational depending on what you want to build, what you want to go for, how you want to play the deck. So good luck, you guys, and hope you guys can check out my stream later. I'll be streaming the draft tournament. Alright guys, that makes it for this video. Thank you for watching, and as always,